Hey there, I know so many people right now who are extra busy at this time of year, including myself, so I thought it might be helpful to show you 5 different dinner ideas that come together in only about 20 minutes, which is amazing, especially on busy weeknights. So I hope you enjoy it, and let's go start cooking. To kick us off today, we are making this garlic and herb chicken. It is out of this world good. To the pan on my stove, I added a tablespoon of olive oil along with a tablespoon of butter. Once the oil and butter got hot, I added my 1 chicken breast. This is 1 chicken breast. I just sliced it in half horizontally so it appears as 2. You could use more or less chicken depending on your preference for this recipe. And then you do want to make sure you season the chicken pretty generously on both sides with pepper, salt, chili powder, Italian seasoning, and garlic powder. While the chicken is cooking away, we are going to cut up our broccoli into smaller pieces just like this. Now that our chicken is cooked, I'm removing it to a separate plate, and I am going to set this plate to the side. In the same pan that we cooked our chicken in, I left any excess oils and drippings from the chicken. There's a lot of flavor in that. I added a tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon of minced garlic, and a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Go ahead and scrape all the bits off of the bottom of your pan at this point. And then you are going to add in the juice from 1 lemon. If you don't have a lemon on hand, you could just skip the lemon in this recipe and it will still come out just as delicious. So after I added the lemon in, I'm adding our broccoli in at this point, and then go ahead and pour your 1/4 cup of chicken broth in. Let this simmer all together until your broccoli is to the tenderness that you like it to be. Here's my plate of food. That broccoli has phenomenal flavor, and you know what? My daughter, who's not even the biggest broccoli fan in the world, loves this broccoli, so that says something, and that chicken is seasoned perfectly. Now we're making my favorite creamy pasta with chicken and bacon. I do want to thank ButcherBox for sponsoring today's video, and if you know me, you do know that I love the ButcherBox meats, so I am so excited to tell you right now they have an amazing deal going on. New members will receive 2 pounds of ground beef for free in every order they place for the lifetime of their membership. So ButcherBox will ship your order right to your doorstep, frozen at peak freshness. I really do love how everything they sell is extremely high quality, as you could see here. To get this recipe started, I'm going to cut my 4 strips of bacon into smaller pieces just like this. Now over to the pan on my stove, I'm adding the bacon in, and I'm going to let this bacon cook through. While the bacon is cooking away, I am going to cut my 1 chicken breast in half horizontally like this. This will help your chicken cook so much quicker on the stove, and then it will also help your chicken be super duper tender in the end. Go ahead and season your chicken on both sides with a dash of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Now that we have our bacon nice and crispy with a slotted spoon, I'm removing it to a separate plate lined with paper towels. I did save about a tablespoon of that bacon grease in my pan to cook the chicken in for extra flavor. So now I'm adding the chicken, and I'm going to let it cook completely through. In this pot of boiling water, add about 10 ounces of pasta. You could use any type of pasta you like or have on hand. Let that cook. So now that our chicken is cooked through, I'm removing it to a separate plate, and I'm going to set the plate to the side. In the same pan we cook the chicken in, add a tablespoon of butter along with a tablespoon of minced garlic, and then you are going to whisk this together until the garlic becomes fragrant. It should only take about 30 seconds, I'd say. And then you will add your 1 can of diced tomatoes in. I love using the petite diced tomatoes. I just like how small they are. And then for the seasonings, add a teaspoon of paprika along with a teaspoon tablespoon of Italian seasoning and a half a teaspoon of salt. And then you will add in your 2 cups of fresh spinach. Give this a really good stir and let the spinach wilt down. It should only take about a minute at most. Spinach wilts down so extremely quickly. And then after the spinach has wilted down, you will add in your 1.5 cups of heavy cream, and then let the heavy cream come up to a simmer. Again, this should only take about a minute. And then once it does start simmering, stir in your 1 cup of Parmesan cheese and let the cheese melt down. The last thing you will do is add back in the cooked bacon and chicken. I did cut the chicken into smaller pieces, and then also add in the drained pasta. Give this a really good stir, and then it's time to serve it up. Here's my plate of dinner. This is so rich, creamy, and divine. All of the flavors will exceed your expectations. And don't forget, right now with ButcherBox, new members will receive 2 pounds of 100% grass-fed and grass-finished ground beef for free in every order for the lifetime of your membership. So you could click on the link on the screen or in the description box below the video to receive that amazing deal. I've been craving these Parmesan crusted pork chops like crazy recently, so now that's what we're making. To begin, in this bowl, I added a 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. In the bowl behind it, I'm adding 3/4 cup of these plain panko breadcrumbs, along with a 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. Stir these 2 ingredients together, and then in the third bowl, you will whisk together 2 eggs along with a tablespoon of water. Okay, it really truly cannot get any easier than this. So I have my 4 medium thick boneless pork chops right here. I did season them on both sides with a dash of salt and pepper. I first coat them in the flour mixture, and then I coat them in the egg mixture. And then lastly, you will coat them really well in the panko and Parmesan mixture, and then set them on a separate plate. That is all you do. Over to the pan on my stove, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil right in there. Once the oil gets hot, go ahead and add your pork chops in. I like to cook these for about 3 to 5 minutes on each side or until they're cooked through. And a little secret for cooking these pork chops is only flip them once while cooking. That's how you can get a really nice crust on the outside. And while they're cooking away, I do like to serve this with brown gravy. I just use one of these packets. It's kind of like a shortcut for making brown gravy, and it is amazing. All you have to do is add the packet in along with water, let it simmer and thicken, and there you go. You have really simple gravy to serve with these pork chops. Once our pork chops were through cooking, I served them over a bed of mashed potatoes with plenty of the brown gravy. This is total comfort food to the max for me. Those pork chops have amazing flavor with the panko and the Parmesan combined, and then they do have a really beautiful crust on the outside. They're just so good. When I was growing up in New Mexico, we had Frito pies all of the time. So to begin, to the pan on my stove, I added 1 pound of ground beef, along with 1 onion and a tablespoon of minced garlic. Let the ground beef cook through. I'm just breaking it up with my meat masher right here. And then once your ground beef has cooked through, remove any excess grease. And then you will add in 1 can of drained and rinsed pinto beans, 1 can of drained and rinsed kidney beans, and then a can of tomato sauce, 1 smaller can of tomato paste, and then a 1/2 cup of water. For the seasonings, add in 1.5 teaspoons of cumin, a teaspoon of chili powder, and then a dash of salt. You will stir this all together and let it simmer on your stove for at least 10 minutes. I do want to show you how we assemble our Frito pies. So to my plate right here, I'm adding a big handful of some of these Fritos. To go over the Fritos, make sure you add plenty of the chili mixture that we just made up on the stove. And then you could add whatever toppings you enjoy or whatever toppings you have on hand. We like to keep it simple and just do shredded lettuce, shredded cheese, diced tomatoes, fresh onion, and lime. That is all you have to do. If you've never had a Frito pie before or never even heard of them, I totally suggest you trying this recipe out. It is just so simple to make, and it's kind of like a fun, creative way to switch up regular weeknight meals. Now we're making this butter chicken, but before we start on this recipe, sometimes I get questions on how I make my sticky rice in the Instant Pot, so I'm going to show you how I make it. I first spray my Instant Pot with nonstick spray, and then I add about 1.5 cups of rinsed jasmine rice with 1.5 cups of water. I put the lid on top, set it to sealing, and then all I do is press the rice button, and that's it. It does the rest for me. Now to the pan on my stove, I added a tablespoon of olive oil along with 1 onion that I diced up, and then you are going to saute this onion around until it gets soft. Now that our onion is soft, I'm adding in a tablespoon of minced garlic and ginger. I'm using the ginger in this little tube to make my life easier so I don't have to peel it or cut it. But I let this saute for about 30 seconds or so, and now I'm going to add in our pound of cubed chicken breast along with 8 ounces of tomato paste. And then for the seasonings, I'm going to add in a tablespoon of garam masala. If you've never heard of garam masala before, it's just a seasoning you can find at your grocery store. I don't use it frequently, but it is so good in this recipe. I totally suggest you grabbing it. And then a teaspoon of chili powder, a teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of salt, and then a dash of pepper. I also added in 3 tablespoons of water, but I didn't happen to show me adding that in. I gave this a stir and I let it cook on my stove for a few minutes. After about 3 to 5 minutes cooking on my stove, I added in our 1 cup of heavy cream. I'm going to scrape everything off the bottom of my pan and stir the heavy cream in, and then I'm going to let the chicken cook completely through at this point. Once the chicken is cooked through, it is time to serve it up. One thing that I do love serving with this butter chicken is naan bread. I buy this brand from my local Walmart and I just warm it up in the oven for a few minutes, and then it is so perfect to serve with this butter chicken. And then I also just spray the top of the naan bread with a little bit of olive oil so it could get crispy in the oven. Here's my plate of food. I served our butter chicken over a bed of that Instant Pot sticky rice with the naan bread. If you have never tried butter chicken before, I totally recommend you trying it out. The first time I ever made it, I was intimidated by it, but it is so simple to make and amazing. I have so many more videos like this on my channel, so make sure you subscribe down below the video so you don't miss any more in the future. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.